Welcome to Creating Calm Parenting with Mind, Body, and Spirit. I am Corinne Cayce, your co-host. I'm an integral leadership coach, a mother of two, and a lifelong student of the Edgar Cayce readings. And I'm here with my friend and co-host, Arlene.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Corinne. It's Dr. Arlene Dijamco. I'm an integrative physician, a pediatrician, and a cranial osteopath. And we have a great episode for you today because we're going to talk about a lesser known Cayce remedy, and that is potato peel. And we're going to tell you how to use it, why you might use it, both topical uses, food uses, and more medicinal uses. And as we get started, Corinne is going to start us off with our opening meditation.
Yes, let's take just a moment to get quiet. If you're able to close your eyes, please, you're welcome to, or just let your attention turn inward for a moment. And let's check in with those three wisdom centers in our body, our core. So finding your low belly, your hips, and your waist, inviting a softening, spaciousness there. Find your chest, your shoulders, your shoulder blades. Feel your beating heart, and let your shoulders be at ease. And then check in with the base of your skull, your jaw, back of your head, and the top of your head. Letting your jaw relax, your ears relax, and find your breath. All right, thank you so much. So, as Arlene mentioned, we're talking about potatoes today, potato skins in particular, and their recommendations in the Edgar Cayce readings. We were thinking this could be a great way to start off summer, like for lots of reasons that we'll get into as our children get out of school and as we deal with allergies and as we have lots of local foods around us that are available, and we maybe have a little bit more time to be a little bit more experiential in our daily routines for self-care. Here are some ideas for you related to potatoes. But as we get started, we like to begin with an excerpt from the Edgar Cayce readings. And this one is on potatoes and comes from reading 4674-1. And it says, when the condition is produced that causes inflammation to be apparent in the eye where cold or congestion sets in from the predisposition of forces in the system, we would apply locally small quantities of scraped Irish potato to the eye to draw out the inflammation. This will seldom have to be used for a time, yet the adjustment of the condition along the cervical through the osteopathic treatment should be done. Else we will create the predisposition with those conditions existent in the system to cause the weakness of forces to the eye to become a constitutional condition rather than organic affliction. So there's lots of great things in there that we love, that are themes that we love to talk about. But please, Arlene, tell us what stands out to you and what's being talked about in this reading.
Oh, there's a lot there. And first of all, this one focused on topical use of potato scrapings for the eye to use like as an eye poultice.
Mm-hmm.
And potatoes have this rich fiber content. They also have potassium and also antioxidants and other things that can help draw out things for congestion to detoxify. And it was mentioned many times in the readings for dry eyes, but can be used for other kinds of congestion, inflammation. And then we're thinking about this time of year when people are getting seasonal allergies, might have itchy, dry eyes or burning eyes. Then these are times where if we're drawing this information from the Cayce readings, that kind of like dry eye or burning eye, irritation to the eye, this would be a time where you might think to use a potato poultice. And the second part of that reading, he mentioned the osteopathic adjustments to the neck area. Mm-hmm. So we have our sympathetic chain there, just supplying nerve communication signals to the eyes and that balance of the autonomic nervous system. And so if there's areas of congestion or areas that just need more circulation, this could be another reason why. Just establishing these drainage pathways and also like nerve communication
Mhm.
to and from the eyes can be
Mhm.
helpful. So that kind of combination. And if you don't have like an osteopath near you, just even considering like, oh, do you have like any neck tension there? Could a massage be helpful? Could a castor oil pack with a warm pack be helpful? And anything that you could do to improve that circulation to the area. And when I say circulation, it's blood flow, lymph flow, nerve signaling.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arlene. And I really like what's being said here, just for me as a mother to think about it. At the very end of the excerpt, when it says, you will want to get an osteopathic treatment so that this doesn't become a weakness in the eye or like a constitutional condition, sort of like a chronic reality of what's going on with your eye all the time, rather than just an organic affliction or something sort of in passing or situationally that's occurring with the eye. And this general idea that whether it's allergic or just congestion wise, like that you don't want the body to kind of rely on, in this case, potato poultices or something like this to like not be swollen or not be itchy, but that you want to do kind of like the deeper level of adjustment or care that will make sure that the body remembers how to keep on moving things through and clearing it out without like a reliance on an external
Mhm.
remedy or something like that in that way, which I think is a great reminder, to pay attention to like osteopathic treatments, chiropractic treatments, like dietary adjustments, all of these things that we talk about all the time on this podcast for like wellness for our children and our families, of remembering that can help relieve these conditions that we sometimes consider chronic, but may actually be acute.
I love that approaching it from different ways like that
Yeah.
can, like you said, help to deepen the healing
Yeah.
so that these signals that are going, they don't groove in these well-known neural pathways where this just becomes like your tendency, your go-to way mode of being. That
Totally.
approach it from the get-go, from earlier on, then it can be much more preventative and set the stage. So there's a saying osteopathically, it's like as the twig is bent, so does the tree grow. So it's like
Hmm.
if it continues in that direction, then the problem can seem to be getting bigger and bigger or more rooted in. But if you
Yeah.
if you kind of correct it and like bring it back to balance, then it can grow up straight and function better
Yeah.
without as much effort. Because like
Totally.
if it's down the road and you've been growing that way, there's more that needs to be done. And this is
Right.
said in the Cayce readings too. It's like, well, this has been going on for many, many years, even
Hmm.
if not generations. And so sometimes it takes consistency in doing certain things for um, the assimilation to fully occur, for the signaling of the endocrine system, the balance integration of the nervous system to be
Hmm.
fully integrated.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, with that in mind, as we focus in on potatoes, their skins and uses for us in healing, let's kind of organize, or let's lay out for folks how we're going to move through addressing potatoes.
Yes. Well, I mean, so the first is that potato poultice.
Hmm.
And then I like to think about it as like, well, Corinne, you had talked about the A.R.E spa, that
Hmm.
they use the potato poultices in their spa. So
Yeah.
I like to present it in that way because when you think about, oh, I'm going to have a spa day, or I have girls and sometimes they like to do this at home. And so
Yeah.
instead of slicing cucumbers, it's like you can mix it up and maybe use some potato scrapings. And in this
Hmm.
case, for the topical use, you would use both the skin
Hmm.
and some of the pulp as well.
Right.
And then in choosing the potato, typically in the readings, he mentioned the Irish potato or potatoes like that.
Hmm.
But there's also a lot of use in terms of like potato, especially the peel internally. And as I kind of scanned through the readings, I saw a trend of like times that they were recommended for people, situations that Cayce recommended it for people.
Mm-hmm.
So one was the prevention or improvement of gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
Two was for endocrine or glandular disturbances, especially of the thyroid, sometimes the thymus. And so then that would be three, thinking of the thymus for balancing like immune issues that were related to the endocrine issues. And these sound like three different things, but they're not, because they're actually all related, because often the graying of the hair is going to be related to glandular issues, especially of the thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
And the thyroid and thymus were mentioned so often together in the growth and development of children and the proper function of the immune system and energy and so many things for
Mm-hmm.
the function of the body. So let's go into like, why is the potato peel so helpful?
Yes. Tell us.
So I'm going to go through some nutritional value first, and then we're going
Mm-hmm.
to circle back around and go through some specifics of the readings. And
Great.
then we're going to go through like how to use and prepare the potato skins for
Awesome.
food and medicinal use.
Yeah.
So to lay some of just the understanding of it, the nutritional value, as I mentioned, it's high in potassium,
Mm-hmm.
which helps in so many conditions. And this is what Cayce had emphasized, that the potato salts. So often he said the potato salts. And so to me, he's mostly referring to the potassium salts in the potato, which
Mm-hmm.
can help, which is known in the medical literature to help balance blood pressure, to balance your electrolytes in your body, to help prevent water retention, so that's swelling, inflammation in the body. It's important in nerve and muscle function. And so that includes your heart as a muscle. It can
Mm-hmm.
be helpful in stroke prevention. It can help with strong, healthy bones. So we think about this both in kids and later in life with osteoporosis.
Mm-hmm.
It can help mitigate the inflammatory response. So this is so much on potassium, and potato is such a rich source of that. It also has fiber, both soluble and insoluble fiber that can help balance the blood sugars. Helps Fiber is great like a sponge to help detoxify the body and carry things out.
Mm-hmm.
It also has like resistant starches that feed the healthy gut flora, so acts as a prebiotic. And there's other things in the potato. It has some other vitamins and nutrients, including B6, helpful for antibodies, detoxification, nerve function, so many things, and other antioxidants like vitamin C and carotenoids. But
Mm-hmm.
if we're talking about the Cayce readings, most often I heard him say like the salts, the potato salts,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'll focus on that and the potassium.
Mm-hmm. And we can make a note right here, because I know for me growing up, I often heard in my home, the readings didn't recommend of eating a ton of potatoes, and they did recommend the potato skins. And so whenever we would eat potatoes at home, the skins would always be on them for baked potatoes or roasted potatoes or whatever was going on. So when we're talking about eating the potato, and you're saying focus on the potato salts, the salts of it,
Mhm.
that we're talking about the potato skins primarily. Is that
Well,
true?
there is potassium throughout the potato,
Right.
including the flesh and the skin.
Yeah.
But what my interpretation of the Cayce readings is, because of the carb load of the potato itself, and
Yes.
perhaps maybe because the potato is also part of the nightshade family, so for certain people
Right.
it wouldn't be good. So not
Exactly.
everyone could handle the flesh the same, and a lot of times if people were coming with health related issues, a lot of
Hmm.
inflammation, glandular things, then
Yeah.
for many people, he said that he would not recommend them eat potatoes. Every now and then it said they could have some, but
Right.
for many people it says don't eat the flesh, just focus on the skin.
Okay.
So even though the flesh has vitamins and has those kinds of nutrients. The
Yeah.
carb load, I think, is too much, and then you get more into the detrimental effects of that rather than the benefit.
Right. Thank you so much. That makes so much sense, Arlene. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a great small excerpt here from
Yeah.
257-228. So exactly what you're saying, not too great quantities of potatoes, though the skins of the Irish or white potatoes, and that very close to the same, are very good. For the salts in these are well for the body. Even if the potato peels are cooked a long time in water and the juice or soup or broth from same taken, it would be excellent. So it's interesting because he says even if it's cooked a long time, and so you can see the focus on the minerals because if it was cooked a long time, then sometimes the antioxidant properties might be cooked off some, but because we are just looking mainly at the potassium benefits, then you have your choice of how to prepare the potatoes. So you choose Irish or something like it. I can't tell you right now which ones are like Irish potatoes, but you look, it looks like an Irish potato or similar, then I would say, yeah, go for it. Because there is so much variety because he was like, well, there's a lot to the potato, where it's grown, how old it is, when you picked it, how you prepare it. So how you prepare it, choose your cooking methods. There are 3 ways mentioned in the Cayce readings that he recommended to prepare the potato to maintain the nutritional content. So the most common that I saw was to boil the potatoes. The next was to use it, cook it wrapped in the patapar paper to enclose and keep the nutrients from, I guess, evaporating or being cooked off. And then you could also bake or roast it, but not to the point where you're burning it or charring it, which I had to make a mental note of because I kind of like that little crisp.
Me too. That's definitely my favorite part.
So I'm like, okay, part of me is wondering just how brown can we get it? Maintain the mineral content. But I think just within reason, you don't want to char. He said not to char. So I'm thinking, okay, as long as it doesn't burn, that you could do that. And what's interesting, because I was looking up methods of cooking and what that does to it. So boiling actually, it does maintain some of many of those nutrients, and it increases what's known as the resistant starches and helps it to have a lower glycemic index. So even if you did have some of the pulp, if you boiled it, actually would be less of a carb load because of the glycemic index. And then if you could also, if you wanted to make a more concentrated version, then he would say, take the peelings, about 3 to 4 potatoes, and then just let it simmer in a little bit of water until that it's nice and soft, or if you put the whole potato until the skin falls off. And then you would drink the broth or eat the soup. So you don't have to just have boiled potato water. You can put your things in there to make it taste good. Celery, carrots, onion, all your broth ingredients. So you can drink the broth or eat the soup, preferably with more skin than the pulp. And how often? It really just depends. So for some people, it was like 2 to 3 times a week. For another person that was making a concentrated version, he said, drink about half an ounce to an ounce most days. And then, we got all the answers here. Because other people were like, well, how long do I have to do that for? And so he said results could be noticed in about 3 to 5 weeks, although because things need to grow, develop over time, then he said, give it 6 months. So some patience, some consistency, and it really depends on the chronicity of whatever you're dealing with. And if it's, if you have, how intense your symptoms are. So many factors.
Mhm.
So maybe if it's not as hasn't been around as long or not as severe, then maybe you could get away with it just incorporating into your diet and rotating it through. But if it's
Mhm.
an issue you've been dealing with for longer, then absolutely work with your physician or healthcare practitioner, and then maybe you want to incorporate it for a longer period of time.
Mhm. And the readings, this taking potatoes internally was recommended frequently for people when they were coming asking questions related to what health issues specifically were they dealing with?
Oh, it was for graying of oh, yes. Let me read you those,
Mhm.
because I think they're so interesting. So here is one from 2301-5, and the
Mhm.
question was, "To prevent falling hair," asking what to do. Answer was, "Don't worry too much about this. Brains and hair don't grow very well together at times anyway." I'm assuming he means as you get older, your brain's growing, but sometimes your hair
Yeah.
doesn't much. But we would massage the scalp about once a week with crude oil and then shampoo with Vaseline oil, hair tonic, or shampoo. The drinking of the soup made from Irish potato peels would also be helpful. Stew the peels from 3 or 4 potatoes in a little water and drink about twice a week. Also, a bonus, the massaging of the scalp with old coffee grounds would be effective.
Mm.
This would keep the hair colored, but it would be effective to make same grow. So I think just the stimulation of that, getting a nice massage and the
Mhm.
antioxidants from the coffee grounds, um, these are things that hadn't occurred to me to incorporate into our
Nor
spa
I.
routine, home spa.
No, not at all. But so that's helpful to know so that as people were like losing hair, their hair was going gray, this was something that was recommended
Yes.
for them.
And
Yeah.
and there's one other one I want to read for you. This is from 842-1.
Mhm.
And he says, "My hair has always been thin. How can I make it grow thick and glossy?" The answer was, "These baths will be beneficial. Of course, the diet is the greater activity.
Mhm.
Oranges and Irish potato peels are the better elements that carry the forces for activity with the thyroid when they are working normally, which of course, as indicated, are not. And these treatments will make for the better activity of these portions of the body." And that's so interesting, just knowing that thyroid regulation with the growth and the healthy optimal growth of all parts of the body, including the hair,
Mhm.
that this can uh, help regulate it, help
Yeah.
balance it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So it seems like topically the potato poultices or skins were recommended for eyes, swelling,
Mhm.
itching, irritation, sty, that sort of thing, internally related in connection to hair and
Mhm.
loss or growth and graying and that sort of thing, which
Mhm.
is uh, fascinating to know. And so
Yeah.
now there's all these different ways to prepare the potatoes and work with them. Should these issues be up in your
I
life?
I think like the the example with the gray hair is kind of motivating for
Yeah.
people, but
Yeah.
let it be an example that is helps you understand the broader use as well,
Yeah.
because it's think of those glandular forces, the thyroid, the thymus, your immune system.
Mhm.
So when things are somewhat out of balance, then it's something you could always consider incorporating. You would get those healthy nutrients in your diet either way.
Mhm.
And as I talked about, like the benefits of potassium and fiber and vitamin B6, folate, other things in the potato
Mhm.
would have far-reaching effects in your health. So it's it's the eye congestion, it's the gray hair, but those are examples that are speaking of like more even greater benefit, potential benefit
Yeah.
of potato and specifically the potato peels.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That makes so much sense. So, like, we're seeing these outward symptoms that are appearing in whatever way. We're caring at a deeper level for dynamics that
Mhm.
are resulting in the symptoms
Yeah.
that we're seeing in front of us. Yeah. Yeah.
This could carry us into, like, other conversations as well because I'm thinking of glandular forces and the
Mhm.
graying and then
Yeah.
also, bone, healthy bone. So we're thinking of our kids, but then
Yeah.
as my kids are getting older and as I'm entering that, more perimenopausal period
Yeah.
and menopausal period, like
Yeah.
I'm starting to think too of like, "Oh, how can I help to maintain my glandular activity,
Right.
and 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 so that I can, um, go through the later decades with
Absolutely.
just feeling more vibrant and having, like, all your glands with online,
Absolutely.
so to
That is
speak.
so motivational for me as well. Yeah. So thank you so much for bringing that in. So thank you so much for this conversation, Arlene. It's always so enlightening to dive in on a specific remedy or aspect, suggestion from the readings that's offered in a broad kind of way and look at what it's being recommended for, how it's being recommended to be used, and specific examples for how it might play out in our lives today and in our families' lives. And thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Corinne. Thanks to everyone.